Welcome, everyone, to a very hot day here where I live. It's about 100 degrees out, and it is sweltering. It's very hot in this room right now, and I don't know if I'm going to, well, I'm already sweating, so I don't know how long I'm going to last on this podcast today, but I am here. Hopefully, and no, that blue number is not with us today. There we go. That is the wrong screen. Apologize for that, and I apologize for being late. It was all my fault. Hargeet had nothing to do with it. I sent Hargeet a message earlier and said, I'm sorry, I'm going to be late. Just was out doing things and had to get things done. But we are here now. And I want to welcome everybody listening live right now. Thank you very much for being here. I see you guys in the chat. Thank you. There's 37 of you watching right now, and I appreciate that very, very much. Hargeet, how have you been, man? How's the week been for you?
Well, it's another week, another set of new things that we got from Gaming World. And I'm not in sweltering heat. It's warm outside, but I have an AC unit like right there.
You are so lucky.
It's a mini split.
I have a unit, but it's right beside my equipment, and it's so loud.
And it makes a lot of noise, yeah.
And it just, you just hear nothing but whenever I talk, even with the noise gate. Like, you can kind of still hear a fan I have on me right now, but I need at least the fan. Good day, says Troyski. Good day. What have you been playing lately?
I finished the games that were leaving Game Pass, so there were two that I wanted to finish before they left. And that was Fist, which I finished before, and I was going through Sword and Fairy.
Sword and Fairy.
And Shadow Torch. Yeah.
Nice.
And then Sword and Fairy is kind of it's a JRPG with action, so you actually go around and you do the actual fighting, right, instead of turn-based. So nice. It was pretty good. Yep, I finished that last night, so...
It's always even better when it's in Game Pass, right? It's always sweet because you're not paying that extra charge to play each game, you know. It always feels good. That's why, those Game Pass games that are coming pretty soon, we'll get in just about a week or so, we're going to get Flintlock, and I played the demo. I enjoyed it.
3 weeks, right? 18th?
2 weeks. 2 weeks, right?
2 weeks, okay.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah. One of the things that was interesting is, like, I didn't want to buy the game, but I'm like, I wouldn't mind giving that publisher or developer or whatever, like, a little bit of cash. And unfortunately, they don't have that option. Maybe that's what you should do. Like, Xbox, you should, like, have, like, an option to say, I want to, like, support this developer and give them, like, $5. It's like $40.
So wait a minute.
I don't want to pay $40, but I wouldn't be mind. Like, hey, I played in Game Pass, finished it. It was good. I'll give him $5.
So you sound like you are, on board with Mike Ybarra talking about tipping developers.
Yeah, in some form, it's like, okay, cool, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I look at it as, they're getting paid from the Game Pass bag, Game Pass money. I don't see a real need. Right? To have to pay them extra or want to pay them extra. But yeah, I mean, if that's something you wanted to do, that's your prerogative. Just like the games you want to play, where you want to play them. Oh my God, Hargeet. So leaving Twitter and then going back to Twitter.
Oh, you went back?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to hear it too. Look, I'm trying not to interact with the weirdos, but man, right now, I'm getting dragged in the PlayStation community, or attempted to be dragged, because of something that I said on Twitter about Stellar Blade. Now, you'll see a lot of Sony guys out there stating that they think the 1 million sold is really impressive and all this, and I just don't find it very impressive. And they don't like that I don't find it impressive. And let me tell you why. And I want to explain this to people. And I've tried to explain it to the other side, and they don't get it. The fact is, this is not just a small, niche, little development team that made a game that was put out on Sony's platform, and it sold 1 million copies. No. This is a team of over 270 developers that have made games in the past. And by the way, in the last 1.5 years now, they've made over 750 million on a game they had out a year and a half ago. So they've already made that much. This team is part of Tencent. They're 40% owned by Tencent. This team was also backed by Sony and heavily marketed. This particular game was heavily marketed by Sony as an exclusive. So for that reason, Hargeet, I don't think it's out of the realm of, I don't think I'm being crazy by saying, hey, I thought they should have sold a bit more. I was expecting maybe 2 million in a month, not 1 million, because of all the noise surrounding this game and the marketing behemoth that is Sony. They marketed this game pretty damn heavily. I heard about this game in the community pretty damn heavily. You Have My Sword. We heard, everybody just going nuts for this game, the censorship stuff that was going on. So all that noise, I just thought, hey, I thought it would sell more. But because I worded it a certain way and I said maybe these third-party deals ain't going so well, people just automatically took it as me saying it's a flop, which I never said it was a flop. And I don't maintain that it's a flop, because only the developers and the publishers can make that distinction. I can't. But what I can say is I personally, Jay Fonzarelli, don't find it impressive at all that you sold 1 million in almost 2 months' time for a heavily marketed PlayStation game. Sorry, I don't find that impressive. And people making videos out there, and I know Colin has his video out there where he's talking about people like me that says it's not very impressive, and he's comparing it to like Dragon's Dogma only making like 3 million, and it's multi-platform. It's still 3 million copies. It's still more than double of what this game has sold. And I would argue that Stellar Blade was marketed even heavier than that game. So I don't want to hear people's BS about this. It makes no sense. In the grand scheme of things, my opinion isn't the end-all be-all. And at the end of the day, I'm flattered that you think it is, because you're out there saying, I'm stating it as fact or whatever, when I'm clearly saying that I feel this way. And it's crazy to me, Hargeet. It's nuts.
Well, let's put that in distinct, put 1 to 3 million, right? Let's just take that a little bit and say, this is a $70 game. It would probably get them 45, 50-ish bucks after all the platform and store fees, right? All that stuff. Let's say you had 1 million, that's 45 to 50 million dollars. The other one's 3 million, that's 145 to 50, like so 140-ish, whatever, 50 million. That's $100 million delta, right? That's not insignificant. Right?
No,
you can't just say
insignificant, and it's not calling it a flop, but it is
the same thing.
It's
it's not. That's why Dragon's Dogma is way more. I'm sure the budget for that was probably like 100 million, right? So that means 50 million in profit. That's good. That's a good amount. The 50% profit.
And we don't know the exact number of what they spent on Stellar Blade, but I think one can honestly look at everything and deduce that maybe you're looking at about 40 million, maybe 50 even to make that game. Because again, there is almost 300 developers, 3 years development time. I could totally see 50 million. I could totally see or between 40 and 50. So it's just...
So let's say it's 50, 50, 60, whatever million. Plus you have your marketing, which Sony would be handling out of their part.
Yeah.
Now, look, let's say they made about that much, but also they did get the marketing deal, right? So they must have gotten some upfront money, right? So I think it probably made back its I'm sure. Right? So I'm sure. So it's probably broken even. Maybe it has a profit. We don't know. But yeah, it's not as impressive. But here's the thing. I don't expect it to be, because most games don't sell that well. That's kind of just the norm, right? And just because it's an exclusive doesn't always mean it's going to do well. In fact, a lot of times it makes it not do well, especially if it's third party. So where it is where it is. That's kind of what you could expect for a game like that. If you took Returnal, it sold half that. You took Ratchet and Clank, I think it sold about that, didn't it? It's about 1 million until it came to PC, right? So they sold a bit more on PC for both of those games. But that's kind of the way it is, right? And those are first party games, and that didn't make much of a difference. So it is what it is. I don't expect a game like this to go crazy. But to your point,
I don't either. But I just thought, maybe 2 million, maybe it would have made that in a couple of months. It didn't. And usually, and a lot of people are stating this as well. They're saying, well, it could still make that 3 million. It could still make this. But the thing is most of your money or most of the revenue is made, most of the sales is made the first month of release. That's the bulk.
Then you have to discount.
Yeah, that's the bulk of your revenue is that first month of release. After that, again, you could have sales and all that, but it kind of diminishes the revenue, the profit anyway, coming in. And also, I just want to, point out that Shift Up, the creators of Stellar Blade, the CFO and the CEO were talking about this. And, a lot of people were saying, oh, they're very happy with the progress it's made. And I read what they said, and it didn't seem like they were just ecstatic over it, but they said sales are smooth. They're smooth. But they immediately jumped into talking about how they can't wait for this game to go on PC. And they can't wait for the contractual agreements to end so they can take it to PC. Because they say this, and this is a quote verbatim from them. They say that AAA gaming consumers have migrated to the PC. That's where they see the profits coming from. This is coming from their CFO.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I mean, there you go, I guess, right? Look, I think their world is going to be very PlayStation centric, and that's probably why they say that. I think if they stay multi-plat, they'd do well on consoles as well. But they decided to marry themselves to PlayStation.
If they went day and date on PC, I could see easily the 2 million in sales coming along.
Yeah. But and if they put themselves on Xbox, it could be 2 to 3, right? It just depends on however many platforms you put it on.
Again, folks, not stating it's a flop, but I'm just saying that I'm not impressed with the million sales. Sorry, I'm not with the juggernaut that is Sony and their marketing and stuff, and they're pushing this as being exclusive because it is right now. I don't find it impressive, and I stand on that. I will die on that hill. I don't care who's out there stating otherwise or coming at me for it. It's ridiculous. A lot of defensive console warriors out there, and it's sad. It's pathetic. But at the end of the day, who cares? Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's get into a first topic here. And the first topic we can talk about is Elden Ring. Elden Ring has, on the flip side, Elden Ring has sold a shit ton of copies, guys. Elden Ring. What was it? Hargeet, in 5 days, they sold how many copies again? What was that?
I don't know the numbers offhand. It's been and is this just Erdtree or is this just?
This is just the DLC. This is just the DLC.
Oh wow!
It sold. I think in 5 days. What was it? I don't want to be misquoted because people will be like, "Would you say something?"
Okay, it says has sold more than 5 million copies.
5 million copies. 5 million copies.
Yeah.
5 million copies. That's
sold 5 million copies in 3 days.
That's a lot for a DLC. Think about that. For a DLC, this is not even a full-fledged, its own game, part 2. This is DLC we're talking about. Yeah. They made a shit ton of money on this game. And good for them. Good for them. From Software has become, now that I've beaten it, I beat the DLC, by the way. Now that I've beat Elden Ring, the DLC, Bloodborne, I've gone back to Sekiro because I rage quit on that a while back ago, 2 years ago. And I remember I was fighting a boss, and I was only fighting the boss maybe about an hour or so, and I just got so mad, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to quit. I can't do this. But now that I beat the DLC in Elden Ring, the bosses there are a million times tougher, especially 2 of the bosses in particular are just nightmares. And they're cheap. They're very cheap. It's not even... A lot of it isn't even skill-based. A lot of it is just cheap, like what they do over and over to just kill you. It's really, it's frustrating. But after I beat that, I was like, if I could beat those bosses, I can go back to Sekiro and whoop its ass. And that's what I'm doing. I've beat a couple of bosses already in Sekiro. I started all the way over, and I'm going to make it back to that one boss that I rage quit on, whoop his ass, and then go forward from there and beat the game. That's what I plan on doing. So that's what I'm playing right now is Sekiro. But I beat the DLC. I don't know if you guys in the chat beat the Elden Ring DLC, let me know. Boba Fett Gaming, I see you. You're playing through it right now, and you're on that last boss, and it's pretty darn tough. And I feel your pain, bro. I feel it. I don't know if you beat it yet, but last time I talked to you, you haven't. But I love it. I really do love From Software now. Now that I've, like, Elden Ring in particular, for me, it's that open world they bring and the exploration and stuff. I'm a big fan of From Software now. So I can't wait for what they do next. So I
wonder what the heck they're going to go do next. I mean, did you try Armored Core?
I did not try Armored Core. One of the reasons why I never tried Armored Core is because I'm not big into the mech games. I'm not big into the mech shooters, but they look cool.
This one rated pretty well.
Yeah, it did. It was. You know what, Abdel? He says he beat Mesmer yesterday. Was so happy. It's funny because Mesmer gave people a very hard time in the DLC. Mesmer was not one of the ones that gave me a hard time. I beat him, I think, like on the 5th or 6th try, and he didn't seem that hard to me. It was Bale, the dragon. That one was a nightmare. And then the last boss, I'll just say that because I don't want to give it away. If you don't know, I'm not going to spoil it. But Bale the dragon, God, that dragon was a nightmare. Because you can't cheese it like on your horse or anything. You can't ride around and hit its legs and run away. There's none of that. And, oh, God, that dragon is so tough. I'm talking, I spent probably a good 3 hours, I think, fighting that dragon and the last boss, 3 hours each. Of course, I would take breaks, walk away, come back, because, that I find that works on a hard game. Just taking a break, walking away, and then coming back to it fresh. I think I did that with the last boss. One night I was playing it. It was like almost 3 hours, and I couldn't do it. And I was so pissed off. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to bed. I went to bed, woke up that next morning, and within 2 tries, I beat him. And I was like, wow, that's all I needed was some rest and some time away. So it's a good game. Great game, though. Masterpiece. Honestly, a masterpiece. And there's not too many games I will say that for, but that game truly earned it. Big time. Love that game. But yeah, so it's selling great, the DLC. And they just did a sale on the original game on PC. So right now you can pick it up for like $40. But the DLC is still $40 too. You can't. There's no sale on that. Yeah. But I get it. It's new. Speaking of that, the summer sale's going on Steam. Did you check anything out there?
Not really. No, I'll take a look. But I mean, I have so many games to play. I'm like, I don't know.
I know.
I want to add more.
I looked through it and I was like, I have a lot of these games, and do I want to buy them again? Although I did buy Sekiro on there because it was on sale. Because I started Sekiro on the PC. Since I was starting over, I was like, I might as well start using a fresh playthrough on the PC. And it's running beautifully. So yeah, I got the mod in there for 100, uncapped, so I get it over 100 frames. Because From Software, they like to cut it off right there at 60 on their games. I don't know why they do that. They cap it. But I noticed that. What's up, Infinite? I see you in the chat. Septic Sauce, Gaz. Look at these PC fucks, he says. Yes, I admit it, man. I play mostly on PC now, but I played the Elden Ring DLC on my Xbox Series X, and I had no problem with it. I know that's one of the things that came out this week was the breakdown of the DLC for Digital Foundry, and they were talking about how it like floats a lot in the 40s FPS range, but with Xboxes, I can't say with because they even said it. With Xbox's VRR, it's fine. With the PlayStation, it doesn't go low enough, their VRR, to really compensate for the drop in frames. So that's always been a thing with PlayStation. Their VRR is just not as good. So I don't know. I had a good time with it, though. I didn't have a big problem. I did have some FPS issues on one of the bosses. the Dancing Lion, but that was it. After that one, it was good. So that must have went into the 20s, or it was pretty bad, that fight.
Oof.
Yeah. I mean, there was times where it was stuttering so bad, I was like, geez, I died from it a couple of times, but it is what it is. But yeah, I heard on PC it's so much better. But again, I was not about to play through the whole entirety of Elden Ring just to get to the DLC on PC. I was not about to do that. I'm doing that for Sekiro. I was only about halfway done with Sekiro originally, but I haven't played Sekiro in so long that I've forgotten a lot about it. So going back to it fresh was fine. I needed all the tutorials and stuff again to relearn the game. So I see a Colt. Colt's in the chat.
Hey, Colt.
Gaz says Albert G will still be here topless with no maidens. He's always topless. He's always topless in the chat. See. Flexing all the time. I call him Flex. That's Flex. What else do we got on the docket here? Well, we've got Amazon and Xbox. We've got a partnership going. Yes. We've got Amazon Fire Sticks. Do you have one? I think everybody owns a Fire Stick. No, you don't have one? Okay, so
I standardized on the Xbox when they announced the Xbox One and said this will be your media hub. I'm like, fine. Every TV is going to have that so that everybody has the same interface.
Yeah,
and so every TV in the house has an Xbox.
So you got everybody using the Xbox controller?
No. We have the media remotes.
Oh yeah, they did have media remotes. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
You just use a media remote.
Nice. I forgot all about those. The Fire Stick though, hey, they've opened it up, Game Pass, to over 200 million prospective gamers.
Yep,
that's huge.
It is. It's awesome. So, and we also got about the Keystone, right? And the Keystone was canceled, which was their smaller form factor, cheaper box that would just do streaming. And the reason is simple. Like, why do something and try to acquire customers when you can go to somebody who's already done that and say, can I just integrate with your thing? Right? That makes much more sense. So go get Roku, go get Fire Stick from Amazon, go get whoever else, right? Samsung native, LG native, whoever else you could get native. But if you don't get it native, you'll get the Fire Stick. Fine. That's perfect, right? And then just go get a controller, and you don't have to get an Xbox controller. You're going to have to get a PlayStation. You get any controller as long as it's got the compatibility with Xbox, right? So just get the controller, just play the games, right? So whatever. And you now have an option to play much cheaper and just pay whenever you want to. Go, hey, this month I'm on vacation. I want to be able to play while I'm out wherever the heck it is I'm traveling to, right? I'm just going to bring a Fire Stick, have my controller, pay the $17, play my games, right? And then I can cancel the sub and move on, right? So perfect little option for that kind of person. It's also great for those who don't have the affordability.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. If you don't have the affordability of buying a console, you could try this as an option too, right? And you get a Fire Stick. You're probably going to get one anyway, and use that as your streaming service. And then you're going to be able to add this on top of it whenever you want to play. Go get the subscription, right, and play. And I think in countries where it's expensive to buy, get into a console, this could be a great option, right? So, it's a great potential, right? And there was also this thing about the car. I don't know if you saw that thing or not, but there was a new autonomous vehicle Uber, and it had a sort of nice touch panel, but it had Xbox in it, just a new interface for Xbox. And right, that's the kind of thing that they're going to keep doing to say, hey, where else can we reach you, so that you can just play your games, right? And you don't have to be restricted to buying an Xbox, being on a PC even. How do we just change that mindset that you can game wherever? I would say the next thing to do is go on a plane, right? Airplanes have a built-in gaming thing, right? But they have internet now. Let's see how well it works to say, let's just put Xbox on there too and see if it works out for you, right? So try that out. So these are things that they're going to try. And I think the partnership with Amazon here, it's a great idea. Awesome. There's hundreds of millions of them, right? Perfect. Right?
And
you get 0.5%. It's something.
Yeah, and this is something that we've said that was going to happen years ago on RDX. I mean, we were talking about this exact thing happening with Fire Sticks, with TVs, with all kinds of different devices. We brought up in particular Fire Sticks, and it's funny how some people have caught amnesia or something because you had a lot of people making fun of it and everything, going, look where they're going now. This is something that we all saw coming. This is what we've talked about for years. This is nothing new.
How do you get to 3 billion players? How do you get to 3 billion players? It's not by console. It's not going to be console. You're going to have to go beyond where you are. And that's going to be mobile. It's going to be these kind of things, right? Get to the TV itself, right? This is the way it's going to be. And this is why I think like in the future, you're just going to be able to play natively and everything because it'll have the power. But right now, this is an option. This is a great option. You can cloud stream wherever it works.
Here's the thing. I used to scoff.
Why not?
I used to scoff at cloud streaming until I got GeForce Now. GeForce Now, I'm telling you, that thing was incredible. The latency was, I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell that it was there at all.
Owns, but
it was so good. It was so good. GeForce Now was so good that I preferred playing on there than I did on my Xbox or PlayStation because I was getting 4080 or whatever that was in the cloud, so everything ran, the performance was much better and it looked better. So I can't scoff at it anymore. Like if Xbox can make it better, if they can work it out and make these games play just as good as GeForce Now on an Amazon stick or something, that is amazing. That would be awesome for for a lot of people.
That tech that they were using is from Bethesda. That GeForce is using is from Bethesda, and so now Microsoft owns the tech that I didn't know that. So they can now leverage it if they want to. They haven't really done it yet that I'm aware of, but they could take advantage of it and start putting it into xCloud. But we'll see. We'll see what they do. One of the other things is architecturally, what they decided to do is create a Series X and then make that into virtual 4 Series S's. So when you play, you notice you're locked at 1080p. That's because they really kind of break down a Series X system into 4 S's so that you can use the same system for more more users, which is an interesting choice, but it does limit what you can do to go upscale if you want to go to 4K. I mean, I suppose they have the hardware. It's there. They would just have to say, these ones we're going to say are going to run in Series X mode. So you're going to cut back the number of users that we can hit there, but they'll give you full fidelity, right? But I don't know if they plan on doing anything like that or not. Because there's going to be a cost and benefit to that. Up to now, it has not made them money, right? So cloud is an expense. But hey, it's a cool feature. If it increases the number of subscribers, it could start to make a lot more sense, right? Yeah,
and that's where they make the
let's
revenue.
Hope they do, right? That's the whole point of this.
So it's a lot of potential revenue. However, how much do you see this actually working for them? Do you really see a lot of people adapting to these gaming on a Fire Stick? Do you see that happening?
I could see a couple of %. So if it bumped it by 500,000 to 1 million, that's viable. I could see that. Could it be higher than that? Sure. It depends on where they advertise it, right? Look, you and me, we don't need it, right? Because we've got our main system.
For sure.
We're well beyond needing a Fire Stick, right? So, but if I were to, go remote, let's say I had to go to a business trip or something like that, and instead of lugging a ROG Ally, I could just take a Fire Stick with me. That might be very compelling. Right? If it's good enough infrastructure, like if I go to a city I know is going to have good internet, okay, then I could just bring the Fire Stick and say, I'm not going to play my twitchy games, or I'm not going to play something like Elden Ring because you have to have very good, latency because of all the way just the way the game is.
Dude, I wouldn't have mind playing Elden Ring on GeForce Now. Honestly, that's how good it was. And I'm sure that depends on your
hotel Wi-Fi is going to be perfect, right? So, but
and also it's also wherever the nearest node is, for their servers.
Yeah, exactly. So you'd have to kind of figure that out when you're doing that, right?
Because I have one close to me, and that's why I think it works.
Yeah, you're in San Francisco, right? So San Francisco is a major data center hub, right? So you're going to have near perfect latency. It's going to be right there.
It's really good.
So if you're in that San Jose, San Francisco area, you're going to have very, very good response rates.
For sure.
But let's say you're going to LA or you're going to New York, or it's going to be pretty good, right? New York's going to be pretty close to Virginia. Sure. That's where they're going to have their data center hub. It's going to be pretty close. So you'll do pretty well. It just depends on where you're going. And so as long as it's close enough, it'll be a pretty good experience instead of having to lug something else with you, right? If you want to, go for it. This is the beauty of options, right? But let's say you're not in a country where it's prevalent to be able to buy $500 consoles, right? It's very, very expensive, right? So, but you might have a Fire Stick, right? That might be the thing that you can afford. And you can buy a $20, $30 controller on, from Amazon or whatever in your country, right? So that's compatible, and you can go play, right? So you can pay for whatever the cost is for Game Pass Ultimate in your country, because they're different denominations, different rates, right? So whatever the rate is over there, pay for a month, play, and unsubscribe. This is a different model, which is why it's cool, right? This is just a different way to get in. So we'll see what it does for them, but I hope it increases the number of players.
Okay, so Albert, you've said a couple of wacky things in the chat that I got to point out. One of the things you said was that Xbox themselves have come out and stated they're not going to make a console or something, or they canceled consoles. That's simply not true. Yeah, that's not true. And your other point about, he says, wasn't it reported that Xbox is stopping console production, and now this Amazon Fire Stick? Everything I said is coming true. Xbox is stopping console production.
I'm not aware of any report of that whatsoever.
And I'm not
know
either.
Where that's coming from. Do you have anything to substantiate that?
Yeah, I don't know where he got that.
Keystone was canceled, but that was specifically Keystone because it didn't make sense.
And that
it doesn't make sense.
His other point about it just seems like Xbox is throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. How can you say that when PlayStation is literally doing what Xbox is doing just years later? They're literally copying them every step of the way, just on a much later time period. Because right now you're seeing, I don't understand what he's talking about there. What sticks?
Well, I think what he's saying is he wants the safe old, hey, in the 1920s we used to do this. In the 1930s, we used to do this. Why are we just changing that? Why don't we just leave it alone? Well, because the world changes, right? So if you don't like that the world changes, well, welcome to the world where your system will go away, right? Your product will end because nobody cares about something that's 50 years old. That's just the world we're in, okay? No matter what you do, right? So if you want everything to stay the way it is, status quo, that's never going to happen, right? So you have to kind of deal with the fact that the world moves on. And Microsoft is saying, well, here are like the 30 different potential options. Let's target 5 of them and let's see what makes sense, right? So that's what they're doing, right? And look, you can say that's a bad thing. I think that's a marvelous thing. You don't want to be stuck in the past. Do you know why they're a $3 trillion company? It's because they don't just say, we made this product and we're going to stick to that product. And that's the way it's going to be. They say, well, our customer went there. I want to be there before they're there. Let's make sure we're going to give them the thing they need when they arrive over there, right? That's how they stay in business, and that's what they're seeing. So that's why they're doing that.
Albert, right? that's where Albert, that's where you fucked up. This is not RDX. This is not an Xbox podcast. We talk about everything here, PC, Nintendo, even. So yeah, this is not an Xbox podcast. And by the way, don't get upset because I brought up PlayStation, and I'm right on the fact that they are following in Xbox's footsteps. They're just lagging behind a bit. True. I mean,
they are.
Look at what's going on in the industry. There's a lot of change coming, and even PlayStation sees it. I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. And it's not a knock on PlayStation. I'm just telling you the truth. This is the way it's going. I don't know. I don't want to beat that horse to death. We've talked about how the industry's been shifting for a long time.
Like, kids who are coming up, they don't care about consoles. They just don't. They play wherever they can, right? And a lot of times that's on a phone, it's on a tablet, because that's what they have access to.
Hargeet, ShiftUp's own CEO said that AAA game consumers are moving to PC. They're moving to PC, Albert. Most of the
Microsoft's just seeing
AAA
the
profit
trends.
they see
Like,
going to
let's go
PC.
here.
I mean, we can sit here because we are not an Xbox podcast and also bring up the fact that Helldivers 2 is in the news because it's lost 90% of its player base. And it doesn't look like it's going to recover. And it's not like it's a situation where I'm like, good, it sucks. I mean, just because I'm not a big fan of the game, my two brothers love the game. However, they're even complaining about the state of the game. I think that's the problem. And that's why a lot of people have quit the game, is because they've made a lot of changes to the game. They made it some of the enemy types really hard and everything at higher levels. And even with buffs and stuff that they've added to the characters, to your team and your squad, it's still not enough. And a lot of people are complaining. And also a lot of people are complaining that there's not enough new stuff to do. And it's just not as fun as it once was. And that's what happens to these games if you're not constantly updating it. See, this is the difference between, and I know you're going to hate to hear this because I don't even want to hear myself say this, because Zocker told me this, and he's not wrong. You look over at Sea of Thieves, and you see why they've maintained a pretty healthy player base. It's because they add stuff every few months. They're constantly adding things that make it enjoyable for the gamers that do like that game to continue playing it. I myself don't like that game either, but it's just the facts. That's what you have to do with these games. You can point to games that used to do well for their community, like Destiny back in the day, freaking Apex back in the day. Now it's not so much. But yeah, you just have to constantly have stuff for them to play. You got to. Shout out to Dark 1985 in the chat.
Hey, there he is. LGG Cloud, huh? Wow. Wow, that's awesome. Your son's playing on it. Nice.
What is LGG Cloud? Is that a new service from LG on their TVs or something?
Yeah, I don't know if it was LG. Is that the company? But the G Cloud, I thought it was the
or is it Google?
No. G Cloud is the it's the streaming only device that lets you stream from any of the providers, right? But who's the company that made it? I didn't think it was LG. I thought it was what's that? Logitech.
Oh,
I thought it was Logitech G Cloud.
Maybe.
I thought that's what it was. I thought, but let me see. G Cloud.
Albert G said PC couldn't save Helldivers 2. No, PC put it on the map. PlayStation didn't even put it on the map. They made the bulk of that money off of PC gamers.
Yeah, Logitech G Cloud.
Let's be real.
Yeah, so it's basically a think of like the PlayStation Portal, but it's open to everything. So you get to play on any streaming service. It has some native Android games, but it's mostly for streaming.
Android-y. I like that. Android-y games.
Yeah.
I know what you mean by that.
Yeah.
Though.
So. Yeah. So that it's the Logitech G Cloud, right? That's cool. That's cool. But that's exactly the thing. They just play wherever they can play. They don't care. They just want to play games.
Yep.
So whatever is available, so we're the ones who are stuck to the consoles because we grew up with them.
Yeah.
Right? So to us, that actually matters. They don't care. They just want to play games, and wherever it is, they'll play them. Right. So.
I would be the same way. I would be the same way, honestly. If I could stop with the consoles, PC, and everything, and have it and stream everything, and I didn't detect any latency at all, like kind of like with GeForce Now, I wouldn't mind freaking playing that. If I didn't have the money to buy anything or whatever, PC, whatever, I would definitely be okay with that. It's not bad, especially like, I don't know. As I get older, the less stuff I have accumulated in my house, the better. Like, I don't want all these like game cabinets and stuff everywhere with a bunch of games and stuff like that. I don't care about any of that. Like, physical means nothing to me anymore. I used to fight for it too back in the day. When I first came onto the YouTube scene, I was all physical. I was like, no, I want my physical discs. I want this. And now I don't care. I'm adapted
still like that
to
for movies because the movies are actually better. But
because they got higher bit rates, it's different. It's different exactly. For 4K movies on video. Yeah, you want it on a 4K Blu-ray because of the higher bit rate. You can tell a difference.
Yeah.
over streaming. But these games, it's the same thing you're downloading. Like you're just downloading the game anyway. Even when you have the disc, you're pretty much downloading the game anyway. Even with the disc, like the disc means nothing to me anymore.
Yeah,
it's a coaster. I mean, box art. Who cares? Like it's whatever to me. I don't care about that. You know, I'll look up the image on Google and I'll go, wow, it looks great, and then move on. I don't care to have it in my house. What else do we got to talk about this week, Hargeet? It's been a pretty quiet week. Really has.
Yeah, I don't know if there's too much. Let me think if there's how did the week start?
Not very good.
What were
yes, Albert G, I've definitely changed when it came to physical, like discs. I'm sorry. I don't care. I also don't care, and I've never really cared about this all that much, even back in the day, even when I was for physical. I don't necessarily care about owning all of the games I play. I don't mind renting games. I've rented games since I was 12. I was renting games. It's nothing new to me. So when I see a subscription service and it has a buttload of games in there, I'm like, yes, please. I'll take it. Matter of fact, I'll go one further for you and tell you that not only Game Pass I'm going to be playing, I'm going to subscribe to Ubisoft Plus just for the month of August to play Star Wars. Then I'm going to unsubscribe and resubscribe to play AC Shadows. You see, the reason for that is I get to play 3 days early and get the deluxe editions on both those games.
Yep.
And I'll pay $40 total. I love that value. I don't need to own it. I don't. Not to have a great experience, I don't need to own it. So, use these subscription services at your leisure. Just use them. I do.
Yeah, the speaking of like physical, Sony is kind of closing down their Japan production facility for Blu-rays. Right. I don't know if that means all of it, if it just means Japan. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, but 250 people were being laid off and they're closing that production for Blu-rays over there. So I don't know what that means for physicals as far as like the movies, or is that going to also include games? I don't know. They could be outsourcing it to somebody else to do it. I don't know what's going on. Right. So they're claiming there's low demand, therefore they're going to close this. Like, okay, right. So, but that is one of the things that also came up. The other one was the patch for Erdtree for Elden Ring that gave you some buffs. Did you hear about that?
Yes. Basically, so what they did was the Erdtree. I forgot to cover that. Thank you for reminding me. So they have these little blessing things you find throughout the map, and I think there is you can go up to a maximum of I think 20 levels with these little blessings. I only found 16. I was only able to go up to 16. Okay. But with these, I guess they upgraded how much power you have with each that you gain. Like each level you go up, you get a little bit stronger than you used to. Still doesn't help with the last fight for sure. Like that really that fight is something else because it's again a lot of cheap shots and stuff. But I guess it helps some people starting out right away because I think at the start you get bigger buffs, but by the time you hit like level 10 or 12, it goes way down as you keep getting those things. It's not like it's really buffing you all that much at the top end. It buffs you more at the low end. So by the time that patch came out, I was already 16. It didn't really affect me much. So I didn't feel it. One thing I want to do here real quick. And by the way, Albert, he asked about if we talked about the Stellar Blade monumental sales that he wants to make it out to be. The unimpressive sales, I'll say. No, I didn't say it was a flop, Albert, but we already talked about that at the beginning of the show, so you can rewind it back and listen to it. We also talked about how the CEO has said that they want the PC version of Stellar Blade to come out. ASAP, because that's where all the AAA gaming consumers have shifted to. So they also say that. So take that for what it is. I don't know. Sounds to me like they want it on PC stat.
Yeah. Hypercharge sold an additional 100,000 units when it came to Xbox. And they were pretty happy with that, which is pretty cool. So
yeah, and then developers,
I don't know how much
Shift Up can be happy too. Like we it's not about that. It's about optics with everything. And when I see a heavily marketed Sony game only hit 1 million in sales after almost 2 months, to me, that's unimpressive. Didn't say flop.
Yeah.
I'm saying to me, the optics that is unimpressive. That's all.
Yeah, so that's pretty good for Hypercharge. Good for them. I mean, hopefully Stellar Blade will get more when they come to PC. Maybe come to Xbox as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's...
And I look at the Hypercharge thing
or not.
And people were comparing that. Oh, you guys are talking up Hypercharge at 100K. I mean, you're talking about 6 developers versus 270 developers with no backing like they had over there at Shift Up. They didn't have all the marketing from Sony. They didn't have all that crap going on. But look, Hypercharge is a small game. They're happy with 100K. What can I say? Like I'm not hyping up 100K. This is their
third platform.
But that's them.
This is their third platform. It came on PC first, Switch. Now it's coming to Xbox. And it outsold the other two by putting it on Xbox. Yeah. So the story is just that, hey, it resonated here. That's awesome, right? And again, to your point, it's 6 developers. The budget for this thing is not going to be that high. To sell 100,000 copies on one platform is pretty good. That's pretty good. That means it probably, so 150 total, 100, 200-ish maybe, right? So that for an indie game, that's really, really good.
Yeah, I suppose.
Not a lot of games get to that level.
But then again, right? I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed by that either. But if they're happy, they're happy. Just like Stellar Blade. If they're happy, they're happy.
Yeah.
It's just me. I'm talking about the optics for me. I don't care about everybody else. Like, you guys can view and go, oh my God, Shift Up. They put out a game on Sony's platform and they sold 1 million copies. Wow, that's very impressive. No, it's not. I don't see it as impressive at all. But you can think that. That's your opinion.
Ask an interesting question, though.
Whatever.
Would it be better for Game Pass to only have 6-month and a year subscription option? Would you all still get it? I mean, I usually get 3-month codes because they're cheap. You can just go on to many of the discount sites and get a 3-month code for like $25 to $28. So that's what I usually end up getting, and then I just stack that up right as I need to get them. So, yeah, I mean, if it's 3 months, 6 months, a year, if they can make it cheaper, why not? I have no problem with that. That sounds good to me, right? But I as it is, I just get the discounts anyway. So. I'm not paying 17.
Yeah. And Albert, I'm not hating on PS5. Matter of fact, I'm not hating on Stellar Blade either. I've said this before. When Stellar Blade comes to PC, because I played the demo and liked it, I will purchase it on the PC. So I will help them get to that mark where I think they should be with the game sales. So I'm not hating on it. I'm just telling you of the optics from my end, what I see when I look at 1 million sold on a 50 million platform console, I look at that and I go, that's not that big a deal. If this wasn't a heavily marketed game by Sony, I would agree with you. If this was a tiny little studio out of Korea that didn't have much going for them, I'd be like, yeah, that's pretty impressive. That's pretty cool, but it's not. They're not tiny, and they had a lot of money backing them with a lot of marketing. So,
yeah,
that's all. I don't want to talk about that anymore. We've already talked about that to death. Thank you for the dislike, by the way. I saw that.
Are all you disappointed that Black Myth Wukong isn't going to be on Xbox till next year? I mean, it's disappointing that they did. I don't know what they're saying
next year. Is that what they said?
I don't know, but it's probably realistic, right? If it's coming in August, was it? August, I think.
It's coming in August, so yeah, that could be.
Realistically, realistically, it'll be next year. So is it disappointing? In a way, it is, because it was promised to be on everything, right? So, well, it was promised to be on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. We always tend to forget there's a Nintendo out there. But if it's coming out later, it's coming out later. I myself will buy it on PC, so I have no issue with that. I'm just going to play it on my PC. But this is the beauty of being on multi-platform. I don't care. I just
exactly.
It's coming this way.
I'll play it on PC. Like, whatever. Yeah. I plan on getting on PC anyway, so it's so, no big deal to me.
I will play it on PC,
and I'm not mad.
I'll support them on Xbox, but
yeah. The whole situation with that Wukong thing, though, is like I said last week, if it really is because of a money-hatting issue, and I tend to believe it is for reasons, but I will say, let's just say, that it is, for the sake of argument, because of what the developers said, and they were like, oh, we're doing this because it's not meeting our quality standards. That's kind of shitty. I think that's not a really good move by them. Not really a good professional move. If it was all about taking a bag from Sony, quietly, hush, hush, who knows?
Or the reverse, taking a bag from Xbox, saying, hey, we want you to pay to help us develop it. And they're like, no. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Either way.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. But it's not out of the realm of possibilities that Sony would do such a thing.
If it comes like early next year, mid next year, whatever, fine. It is what it is.
Yeah, but a lot of Xbox guys have stated, I've seen them, they're pissed to the point where they're saying they're not going to support the game.
Yes,
because
a lot of, and you know what? More power to them. If that's how you want to tell them, that's fine, right? Money talks, so that's a fair thing to do. But I also want to support more indie developers coming from other countries. And China finally is like entering the fray with a whole bunch of games now. Good. I want more of them. And so I would like to see these kind of games. So I'm going to support the developer. I'll support them through Steam. That's fine.
And that's the thing. You support a lot of indie games. You've played a whole ton of smaller games that I would never even play that myself. But hey, more power to you. You game a lot. You play a lot of these games. Anyways, anything else that went on? Because
it wasn't that much really this week. It was all smaller
I didn't
stuff.
See anything.
I mean, there was this whole Dr. Disrespect stupidity, but like, who cares?
Well, I will say one thing on that, because I'm not afraid to do it. I will say that the guy is a complete scumbag, in my opinion. Because and it's by his own admittance, and all I needed to hear was him utter the words that, yes, I spoke with a minor and it got inappropriate at times. Sorry, you just outed yourself, and I do not respect you at all.
Yeah,
so there's the name fits.
I try to shy away from these things because I don't know all the facts, and then you get more and more stuff out.
It's not even about. But here's the thing: the fact remains that he stated that. He said that he spoke with a minor, and it was inappropriate at times.
The minor,
that's all I need to hear.
Was 17 years old.
Yeah, that's all I need to hear.
Really that young? It's like, okay,
it's a minor. It's still a minor, and I don't respect that. As somebody who has daughters, I'm telling you right now, I do not respect that. I think the man is a scumbag.
Would that change if there were 27?
Oh yeah, I mean that if you mean if he was 27? No.
If your daughter is 27, does that suddenly change things?
No.
I mean, I think you're always going to.
I have an older daughter. I have an adult daughter. Yeah, and I have two younger daughters.
It
so
is what it is, right? You're going to be protective. I get that.
It's gross. It's gross. I don't care.
And then it turns out, well, and I don't know how true this is, but it turns out that Twitch, right, had sent this stuff to the authorities, and they said there's there's nothing illegal here. So, now I don't know what that means, right? But
when you look
I'm just saying,
when you look at the laws, it's you have to be like, you basically have to send pics and do all that before they'll step in and do anything really. Other than that, it's like it's a slap on the wrist. So yeah, they probably didn't do anything because it didn't go that far, maybe. But just speaking with a minor inappropriately, if it had any sexual connotation at all, is gross. and shouldn't have been done. And it's, obviously somebody's after him too, whoever leaked this information and stuff. I mean, they want this guy to go down.
It wasn't leaked. It was he was using a new chat feature in Twitch, and that chat feature, the folks at Twitch went and read it. Now, I don't know if that's legal or illegal, whatever, right? Because I don't know what the privacy statement, what agreements are between the consumers of Twitch and the service, whatever. But they read it and they said, "Hey, this is inappropriate," and then took action. So
yeah, were they allowed to read those things? I bet you a lot of these companies, when you have like even WhatsApp and stuff, I guarantee you they're reading all the messages.
I don't know if they're reading all the messages. I think it triggered a warning of some sort to say, hey, there's some explicit things going on here, and one of these people is a minor, and because of that, it might have gone to an escalation, right? To say, okay, it's flagged. Go figure out what happened here, and then
hey, Hargeet, hold up, talk some more. I think I got somebody. Hold on.
All right,
I'll be back.
Yep. Yeah, so I think that basically was it. It's just like it probably triggered some sort of flag or something like that, hey, this has content that seems inappropriate and therefore it needs to be reviewed. And I think that's how because like reading everybody's chats is going to be impossible. Like you'd have to have so many people to do something like that. So I don't think it's that they were reading everybody's stuff. I think it's just it got like some sort of analytics picked up, hey, there's something weird going on here, go check it out. And based on that, they went and read it and said, yep, something's wrong here and we need to go report this to the authorities. And they did, and they said there's nothing here, but they were they wanted to absolve themselves. There's also just potential for lawsuits, right? Because you can go to civil cases to say, hey, there was your platform was used to facilitate this kind of behavior, even though they're not in the wrong. There's potential for him, like the individual Dr. Disrespect, to also be sued. That can happen. I don't think, even if there was a case, I think it's past the statute of limitations. But it doesn't matter. It already went to them, and they said there's nothing here, so they're not going to prosecute, right? So
and who knows? Even the victim herself might have said, I don't want this to get out, and probably.
I mean, I'll be very honest. My assumption is that this person on the other side is probably more disgusting than him, right? The assumption that girls are these pure little virgin angels, they are not. They are very disgusting, and they can be pretty nasty out there. And so she's probably the one who started this, and he just went along with it. Now, I don't know that that's the case, but it's a very likely outcome that that's the case. So I'll leave it at that. But that's why I don't like talking about these things, because you have no idea what the facts are unless you see all of it, right? And I don't know who initiated, who did what, and then he went along with it, or he started it. I don't know, right? So it's like, it's very hard to understand, right? But I have seen some pretty nasty things coming from some very young ladies, and they're not little perfect angels. Sorry, that's just not the world we're in. They just aren't.
You're right in that some could be like that, and it's the possibility is there. We have no idea if that was the case here, but either way, as a grown adult man, would you be
surprised?
Would you be surprised? No, I wouldn't. But if a minor did that with me in a chat, well, first of all, I wouldn't be in a chat with a minor, but if that were to happen, I would immediately leave that chat. Immediately
just like, yep, I'm done. Right.
Yeah. Like,
so that's what normal morals are, right? You would just say, no, I'm out of here. This is not me. Right. Go away. Right.
And that's what, at the end of the day, try to be open
to these people, like whatever. Right? Yeah.
At the end of the day, he's the adult here, and he's the one that should have known better. He's
responsible for his actions.
Yep. Anyways, there's not much to talk about this week, guys. It was a very, very slow week, and I'm getting hot as hell in here. I'm probably going to shut the show down because it's like 100 degrees. And not only that, I got some weirdo outside walking around. I don't live in the best neighborhood, and a lot of times I've had to go out there and shoo crackheads away. And let's just say that there's one out there just wandering around.
Wow.
Yeah. I was actually in a party chat one day, and I was talking with Colt, and I go, Colt, hold on. There's a crackhead outside, and he's like, what? And he starts laughing, and then like I disappeared. I come back, and he's like, were you serious? I was like, yeah, dude. Like they come over here and they try to hide behind the building and do their drugs and stuff, and I have to kick them out. Like, yeah, it's
damn.
I don't have to, but I do because I've got kids, man. I don't like them around here.
You don't want that shit around.
No, hell no, I don't want that shit around. So, and the neighbors appreciate it too.
I gotcha.
But it's weird. It's weird. Did we talk about Forza Horizon 4? Oh yeah, Forza Horizon 4. I guess if you owned it, I guess it's going away or something, and they're giving like free copies to people. What's going on with that exactly?
So if you own it, you own it. You have it.
Yeah.
If you don't own it and you played it through Game Pass, if you bought any DLC for it,
there it is.
They're just gonna give you the game. So you'll just get the game. So that's what they're doing. But because of licensing, again, they're having to stop the sale of the game, so they can't keep it in Game Pass. This is just a constant headache, and I kind of hate the way that happens in the car industry. I don't know why they can't get permanent licenses, but they can't, and that is where it is. So, but if you have any DLC, you will be covered. They'll just give you a copy of the game. If you already bought the game, you have it, so you're good to go. So that's what they're doing. So that's pretty cool of them that they're just going to give you the game for free. If you have any DLC.
Yeah, I saw Mav. He got it for free. He was like, "Oh, that's cool. They gave it to me." You know, he didn't own it. He played it in Game Pass. That's cool. I'm glad they're doing that. That's nice. There's some game preservation for you. Nah.
Right?
Yeah,
I wish they could really preserve it.
Yeah.
Right? And be allowed to buy it, but it is what it is. These licensing things kind of suck. So
yeah. Yeah, it is what it is, but yep. Boba Fett Gaming said he bought DLC, but he didn't get a code. They just don't like you, Boba. I spoke with Phil, and Phil told me that he came up to me during when we were in LA, and he goes, "Hey, do you know Boba Fett Gaming?" And I said, "Yeah, I know Boba." And he's all, "I don't like that guy." I was like, "Really?" I said, "What's wrong with him?" He said, "I just don't like his accent. He doesn't like you, dude. You don't like Australians." I don't know, man.
Right.
I'm just kidding. Yep. Come on, Boba. You know that didn't happen. Oh, man. Yeah, Phil. Where is Phil anyway?
You are now listening to the Games Talk Live podcast.
Oh, there he is. There's Phil.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is about delivering great exclusive games to whatever platform we choose, because your feelings don't really matter to us. Sorry, but you fanboys just aren't enough.
Wow. Wow, Phil. Jeez.
Keep crying all you want, but your games are still going to PlayStation.
Wow, Phil. Stop. Phil's so rude these days. Man.
Fatality.
Fatality.
I really like playing Diablo 4 when the Xbox community is just burning down around me.
Oh, come on, Phil. That's messed up. All right, with that, I'm going to get out of here, guys. It's a hot one. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your Sunday. And Hargeet, let everybody know where they can find you, and also the book, where they can find the book first. Let them know.
Yeah. If you haven't already tried to pick up the book, you can go to my page here. It's shop.chiny.us. Pick up my sci-fi novel Emergence. It just links over to Amazon and Barnes & Noble. It'll give you the exact page, so you don't have to try to find it on Amazon or anything. So you can go there and find it. If you want to get a signed copy, there's signed bundles available, and if you want to get the merch, there's merch as well. So go there and do that. You can subscribe to my channel. It's Hargeet I on YouTube. So subscribe away. That freaking Gears video is up to 61,000 views. That's crazy.
Jesus,
this is
I saw that this morning, dude.
Right?
Insane.
It's nuts, man.
And you know what's crazy? You know what's even nuttier? That you have to watch it like this.
I know. I was expecting it to be a short, and I ended up just like letting it continue to go. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll just tilt it around. But the shorts have to be portrait, right? Not landscape.
Yeah.
So I was doing it like portrait, and then I'm like, all right, fine, I'll make it landscape. But I never really changed the whole thing. But anyway, so yeah, unfortunately, it's really intended for you to get a crowd reaction. But.
Yeah, of course. But can you get in there into the YouTube editor studio and change that and turn it? Is that possible?
Probably. I could also just go to like Camtasia, which is what I use for editing. I could just go in there and fix it. But these were just direct uploads from when we were there. I'm like, I just want to get everybody.
But it would be cool if you can change it and keep the 61,000 views and even build more because
most
people.
Of those, yeah. Most of those uploads were happening while the direct was happening for COD.
Mm-hmm. I know. So we're all like sitting there watching the show, and here's Hargeet.
Yep.
The whole time. That's Hargeet. Love it. Hargeet, thank you for being here again, sir. Anyways, I want to thank everybody for showing up to the chat. Even you, Albert G. Thank you for showing up every week. I appreciate it. I really do, man.
Absolutely.
Even when you're here and stuff, you cause a lot of banter to happen, a lot of discussion, and I like to have fun. So you're not one of the guys that I like despise or anything. So thank you for coming by. All of you guys, Boba Fett Gaming, Mr. J, Stilo Facts, Crypto Color Lights. That's a new one. Crypto Color Lights Tech. He must own a company that sells crypto or colored lights. What do you think? Or maybe both.
Probably.
I see you, Yodani.
Guessing.
Yodani. We met Yodani, by the way, in LA.
Oh, yeah.
Yodani was really cool.
Shout out to Yodani.
Yeah, shout out to him. Shout out to all the cool people. Boss Mod, Lethal Papa in the chat. Anyways, until next week, guys, game on.